coming. But I can't just come for Sue Rides. I have news from Pat Weddick, the wife of our former state senator, former state representative, former county commissioner, my former neighbor. We always worked together when I was in the Senate and I was in the House for this district, and then Frank and I always worked together. So Frank and I were basically all retired, you know, you gotta get rid of us one way or another. And we're at this kitchen table in Frank's home with my wife, Mama Maria, Pat, Frank, and I, and we say, gee, who would be a good state representative? And you know, we don't know what we're going to get until we get it. Pat Weddick reminded me last week when I talked to her, she said, you know, we found or thought, how about this lady, and I mean the word lady, ladies and gentlemen, who's on one of our local boards. Because when you really are a volunteer and you really work, people notice you. But she's the kind that doesn't normally want to be noticed. And we worried, we said, gee, who were we getting? Were we getting this meek lady that did all the work but didn't say anything? Or was she going to be able to speak? Would she be able to? Oh my God! My God, what did we get? We got a firebrand. This is our firebrand that no one knew that the match was lit, and it ran, and boom! And now I guess it's been 8 years. 7, oh my God. Since our little kitchen table meeting. Sue has been, as you know, you wouldn't be here if you didn't know this, a wonderful state representative who represents us. And you know, it's the work she does. I don't mean just at the Capitol. Lots of people want to say, I did this, I did that at the Capitol. Oh, whoopee-doo. What do you do for the community? Well, she started that way before she was a state representative. She's not somebody who just says, oh, I want to run. We had to talk her into it. Thank you for being talked into it, by the way. And now she's running for state senate. You know, we've got 2 wonderful representatives that are running, but I really do believe that people don't know what it's like to run until you win that very close race. When I first ran, it was 30 years ago, and there wasn't a Democrat in the entire 6th congressional district or the entire Arapahoe County at any level that represented us as Democrats. And I knew you couldn't win if you didn't work your tail off. And we won that one seat 30 years ago, and we kept winning, but it's because of hard work. Your representative does all the hard work when you're at home or you're on the weekend and you forgot to come and walk with her. She still walks. And it made a difference. In this last election, she showed her stuff when she was supposed to lose in a Republican wipeout. She wiped them out because we wiped them out, didn't we? Everyone of us here? So, yeah, so let's do it. Let's do it again. Go on. Come on, everybody. Do it with me. 1, 2, 3. Sue! That's so. Do it again, buddy.
Let's go right.
Let's go, Sue. Let's ride with Sue. Ride with Ride. Let's ride with Ride. Our representative, our senator, Sue Ride.
So for those of you who don't know Steve Ruddick, he was one of our very early elected representatives from this House district, and then also was a senator, and has been a great mentor and friend to me, you know, over the past 7 years while I've been on this great, strange adventure. And so I just want to say thanks to everyone for coming today. I want to point out my faithful husband, the photographer here, Jerome Ryden. My brother Mike, sister-in-law Margie, niece Lisa, and her kids, Josh and Emma, are here today. Thank you. And there are good Republicans, folks. There are good Republicans. Where? My family is proof of that, okay? But I know that you're all wondering. Who's pointing?
No, I wanted to recognize Ed Knotts, who's one of our very important labor leaders.
Yes.
And who has worked with Sue Ryden for many, many years on things to help our families who rely upon what he does.
I was just saying hi, Bernie. It's okay.
And Bernie is right, and I hope you will cover that again when you get to talk in a minute.
Wait a minute.
You're the wrap-up guy. You're the cleanup batter. Whatever they call that in baseball.
Does that mean I have to sing Amazing Grace?
Well, you know. I think that was done a couple days ago, way better than maybe we could do it here. Especially want to thank Ellen Bella, who has been our chief volunteer on this effort. I mean, if you want something organized, you're going to call Ellen. And of course, we have our faithful and true volunteers like Chris Alexander is here today. And I could name everybody in the room, but you all know that you're important. And we learned in the last election that every single vote counts. And it's especially important at the local level because the decisions we make in the state capitol affect you each and every day. Some of the decisions at the federal level, you may not actually really feel the direct impact, but a lot of things are going on at the Capitol that we need to be making sure that we're passing good bills and that we're going to make life better for everyone in Colorado. And that was kind of our theme this year. You know, our economy has pretty much recovered, and we're still working on getting everyone back to work, and we want to make sure that the economy works for everyone, not just a few. And so what does that mean? Well, it means making sure that all of our children have the opportunity to succeed in school, and so that they're prepared for the career of their choice. And it means making sure our families all have access to affordable health care. And it also means making sure that our small businesses have a level playing field when they're trying to do business with the government. Having been a small business owner with Jerome for many, many years, it was all too true that it was really not that easy to try to work with the government. And so I know we have someone here in the crowd. I don't know, maybe he should remain nameless for now, who I think has a really sort of handle on what's happening in the procurement arena, and we're planning on working on really making sure that our small businesses can compete and can be successful. And that reminds me also of our PTAC program that we spent 2 years trying to continue. And we have some folks right here, and George Peck just left, but he was instrumental in helping us pass that bill. PTAC is Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. And if you have or know anyone who has a small business, you really need to go over to their office at the Aurora Chamber and talk to them about how you might be able to work with the government, because this is a program that does really work. They serve about 3,000 businesses a year. They walk them through the entire procurement process. I think if Jerome and I had had that some years ago, it would have made life a lot different. But for the $200,000 that we, the Colorado taxpayers, put into that program, we get back about $700 million in contracts. And so it's a hugely successful program. Thank you. And not enough people know about it. So even if you're a one-person shop, there are ways that you can get government contracts for the services or the products that you're offering. So don't hesitate. Get over there tomorrow, okay? Promises? How many small business people do we have? I know we have some. Come on, don't be shy.
I'm a monkey business.
Tell your friends that do have businesses if you don't. And of course, making the economy and making government work for everyone also means making sure that our seniors can look forward to a secure future. And we know that this is a really serious thing that's facing us. They're calling it the silver tsunami. We have a few, silver people in the crowd today. And we know that we're facing a big change in demographics in about 10 or 15 years, and that's why they're calling it the silver tsunami. So we're really going to be having to work really hard to make sure that we have programs in place, that we are helping people who are working now save for their own secure retirement. And of course it means making sure that our veterans are getting the benefits that they have earned and that they deserve. And I see Marvin Myers right back there right now, who is one of our most stalwart veterans advocates, as well as Ed Knox, as well as Bernie Rogoff. If anything happens that's negative for veterans, those guys are on it, like right now.
We thank you for everything that you've done supporting the veterans. We're with you 100%.
Thank you. Thank you, Marv. Well, we did pass a bill this year that is really going to help our veterans statewide. We have a program that's called the Veterans Service Officer Program, and it's run by the counties. And each county is supposed to have at least one. Well, some of the counties had the mistaken belief that it was a matching program, and they weren't able to come up with matching funds, so they weren't hiring a veteran service officer. So when we discovered that, we wrote a bill that made it clear that it's not a matching program, that the state puts in funds. If the counties want to add to that, they can, but they don't have to. And then we appropriated another $500,000 to that program, so every single county is going to have a veteran service officer to help the veterans get their benefits. And this is not easy for anybody who's been through it. How many have tried? Yes. We have spouses of veterans, and we have veterans who, perhaps a lot from the Vietnam era, who maybe got out of the service, never looked back, never talked to the VA, never had any connection, and then all of a sudden they're sick or they've lost their job, they're financially strapped, and they go in and they try to get benefits and they don't have their paperwork. They don't know where their DD-214 is. They don't know where their other information is. The Veteran Service Officer is the person that will help you put that together and make it happen and get the benefits that you deserve. So keep that in mind too. Anybody you know that's having any issues, tell them to contact their Veteran Service Officer. Nancy Jackson, our County Commissioner, here today. Arapahoe County has 2 Veteran Service Officers, and I can tell you that I hear nothing but glowing reports from people who go to visit them. So they are doing an excellent, excellent job. This session, speaking of having our kids have the opportunity to really get a good education, I think a lot of you know that Aurora Public Schools has pioneered some programs, such as the Pathways program, where they pair kids up with professionals as early as 6th grade, and they follow them all the way through high school. We just had our first 2 graduate from high school who are going to the University of Colorado Medical School after they get their BA. It's a combination BA-MD program, and they came out of this program. So it's really, really working, and the only problem is there aren't enough funds for them to have it in every single school. So that is something that we really need to fight for, because they're on the right track and they're doing it. And at the legislature this year, we did pass a bill that makes this a statewide program. A lot of people don't realize that Aurora's been doing it for about 5 or 6 years, so hats off to Aurora. Also, we have the concurrent enrollment, and for anyone who's not familiar with that, you can take community college classes in high school. And we are having, I think there's about 1,000 kids in Aurora Public Schools, I don't know how many in Cherry Creek, who are now doing that. There's about 1,000 in Aurora. And when they graduate from high school, they get their high school diploma and they get their associate's degree. Free. 2 years of college, free. And I think the president is trying to push 2 years of community college, free. We already have the program here, and now this year we voted to make that a statewide effort too. So give yourselves a hand for that. So I think that most of us here who've lived in the Aurora area for any length of time know how important Buckley Air Force Base is, both for the national security mission that they are preserving, and as well as for the economic impact that they have. You know, you hear the jets, those are our F-16s, and whenever I go knocking on doors and we start talking about it, nobody complains about the noise. I think it's wonderful. They say that's the sound of freedom, and I think we all love our F-16s when they go flying over, because first of all, it's a thrilling sight, and secondly, we know that they're on a really important national security mission. And then Buckley has 13,000 people working there now, and about half are civilians. There's 84 different operations out there. Everything from the aerospace wing to all kinds of other groups that are there. We have the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, the Coast Guard. We have people from England, Australia, Canada that come regularly. So it's a really important place, and it is important economically. Jordan, yes, our National Guard has a relationship with Jordan and with Slovenia. So there's a lot of exchange that goes on between us and those countries. But the economic impact is also huge, and we were able to commission a study last year, Senator Carroll and I, to do a really in-depth analysis of the military presence in Colorado, all throughout the state, and what that might mean to us in Colorado, as well as how we could better market ourselves for new operations coming in. And every so often they have this thing called the base realignment and closure process. And that's how we lost Lowry, and that's how we lost the Fitzsimmons Army Hospital. And we want to make sure that Buckley is never on that list, and that actually that we gain rather than lose. And we do have the property to expand over there. And this year we were able to appropriate $5 million to purchase some parcels of land that will really ensure that we have that buffer zone for many, many years to come. So, we're Buckley strong, and we're all rooting for us to be successful in that regard. I think most of you know that we have funded a number of senior programs. The last few years we've had a little bit of money to do a little bit more. We had 4 years of cut. Unfortunately, we're going to hit this Tabor cap, which we can talk about later. But we hit this cap before we're able to restore funding to everything. And so we've done, I think, a good job of trying to do it with our education system, with our senior programs. We brought back the homestead exemption on our tax forms. We've funded the Meals on Wheels program, which is one of the most critical things that we do. And people hear Meals on Wheels and they just don't really think that. Hi, Karen. Karen Haas, another one of our star volunteers. Hey, Karen. But, just something like Meals on Wheels is helping keep people in their homes. And that is really what we've been talking about, is keeping people in their homes as long as possible. And just a program like Meals on Wheels is just really significant in doing that. So we've been supporting that as well. I think I serve as chair of the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee, and I've recently been named to the Health Exchange Oversight Committee. And now that we know there will continue to be health exchanges, and our job really is to make sure we have the best one in the country. And we're not quite there yet. Their top priority for this next year is to make the customer service experience so good that people will be raving about it, and not in an angry way. There have been glitches, as everybody knows, and when you're starting up a whole brand new organization and having people come and shop for insurance who might not have ever been through that process before, you're asking for a lot of confusion and a lot of things that, may not go just right. But they are really committed to making it a good experience this year, and so I hope everybody who needs to use the exchange will do it. They do have a lot of insurance brokers who have signed up and are certified for the program. Certainly in our career as business owners, insurance was not something we ever wanted to do by ourselves. We always had an agent, and the agents are paid by the companies, so it doesn't cost you anything, and they can really cut through a lot of the confusion for you. And I would say that's true if you're an individual as well trying to get insurance, and they've got a whole list of brokers that are available to help you, so I encourage you to do that. As the senior member, in 7 years you can become the senior member of the Aurora delegation in the House. I was working really hard to defend Aurora's interests, especially when it came to the Gaylord Project. Regardless of how you feel about using tax increment financing or other incentives, what was happening this year was some folks downtown just did not want Aurora to have this Gaylord Hotel project. And so we worked really hard and were able to defend the project. And it's underway and it's going, and it's going to create about 7,500 construction jobs over the next 3 years, as well as 2,500 permanent jobs once it opens. So sometimes we do have to defend Aurora when we're down at the Capitol. But you know, we're growing, and of course the Senate district includes more than just Aurora. It includes our rural areas, and we've got some folks here, the Herds today, who live out in the country on what is now about the eastern edge of the House district. The Senate district goes all the way to the county line to the east, if I'm pointing east, and it goes all the way to the Denver city limits on the west. And it's about this deep. It goes down to like Mississippi until you get to Chambers, and then it drops down to Jewel, and it goes out east. And then it curves around, the little tail comes around below the reservoir, and picks up Heritage Eagle Bend, Saddle Rock, Talon's Reach, and the Blackstone Country Club. So that's all brand new for me. The current House district just goes to Southlands Mall, and a big chunk of that is in Senate District 28, which is Nancy Todd. So anyway, looking forward to the challenge. You know, talking about all the things we have accomplished, there are still things that need to get done and things that need to be watched constantly. And I've told my veterans and I've told some other people that I don't want to leave until I'm sure that they are secure. And there are still some gaps in the system and some things that we really need to fix. And that is the main reason that I'm running for the Senate. Also, I know a whole lot more now than I did 7 years ago. That can be a good thing. Just understanding how things work, where you need to go for information, you know, being able to bring people together on issues. Big believer in bringing all the stakeholders to the table and having those discussions before we get to the committee hearing. Really a good idea. But have learned just the process, and you know, the process works. And sometimes it doesn't feel like it is, but it does and can. And that's why I want to be there, is to be one of the people that is really making things work for all of us. And also just to be using the leadership skills that I've developed. I've been elected by my caucus to serve them 3 out of my 4 terms, the first year as a freshman. Most of us didn't have any leadership positions, but I'm now majority whip. And that's really about keeping your team together and working with everybody and making sure that that people understand what's happening and knowing where they're supposed to go and how to get there and things like that. So I want to bring those skills to the Senate. We're going to be losing some really, really strong leadership in the Senate next year. Our own Senator Morgan Carroll, Senator Pat Stedman, Raleigh Heath, I think, is term limited. You guys think of any others that are? Linda Newell, oh yeah, she's been huge on human services. So I feel like I've gotten the experience. I feel like I'm ready to make that step, and I feel like I'm ready to hit the ground running and really provide strong leadership there too. So with your support,
experience.
Thank you, Ron.
Food is definitely the best one for us.
Thank you, Ron, my cheerleader. But I just, you know, with your support, we can make it happen. And I appreciate this strong showing today. You know, we've got folks here that haven't ever met each other before, and I think it's just great that you're getting acquainted and seeing that there's others in the district that are interested and want to help and want to make good things happen. And so I thank you all for being here today. And it's my pleasure now to turn it over to one of our favorite veterans, volunteers. Bernie brought the ice cream today. And he has a few things he wants to talk to you about. Thank you, Bernie.
I need to give you a hug.
Well, we have 54 of us here today.
Wow.
Gene and I have been to 7 or 8 kickoffs in the last month. None of them have had this attendance. None. And they're all good people running for office. Marvin Myers is 55 years old about 2 weeks ago. And I will be 85, and I will be 85 years old on July 16th.
Here.
I'll be 49 July 18th.
So don't mess with us. I have to tell you that we need to be serious about something that's threatening our Democratic Party, especially in Arapahoe County. We turned Colorado blue when our president became president in 2008. Arapahoe County turned Colorado blue. We were the pivotal county. Now I have to tell you, that position is threatened now. We cannot show the Republican Party any disfavor, any discord, any diversity among us. We need to elect the party so that the Sue Ridens among us can do their work. If we don't get elected, we lost the last election because we didn't ring the doorbells. We didn't make the phone calls. I'm not admonishing anybody. I'm guilty too. We thought we had it in the bag. We don't have it in the bag. Now I want to say something about a man, an Admiral Sandy Widmer. He was the director and commander of NORTHCOM. And I was with him when he retired. And he said, Bernie, remember one thing. What happens outside the gates is more important than what happens inside the gates. Sue Ryden, almost singularly, having attended every single Defense Council meeting that I attended in 4 years, singularly has kept Buckley Air Force Base alive. That is a $32 billion military impact, economic impact on our state. And this lady has stepped up, has never said no, has never said later. So I'm saying to you today, the reality, the virtual reality is, and it's unfortunate because of Citizens United, dollars mean a great deal. We need to be able to elect Sue Ryden, and in order to do that, we need to let the people, we need to tell our story. And the only way we can tell our story is through the newsprint, through television, through radio. And we can only do that without dollars. So what I'm asking you, before I keep going, is I want you to take out your wallet or your pocketbook, and I'm going to start, this is not my first 100, and I'm going to put it, I want you to follow me. Follow me. Like they say, thank you there, Steve. There's more. I'm going to put mine in with Steve's. We need to do that. It's the reality, the functional reality, the critical imperative of our political system today is that we need to elect people by giving them name recognition, by telling the story of all that they have accomplished. And there's so much to tell about this lady. I can't even begin to tell you. She has been there for everything that our veterans have asked for. The bills that she has helped pass have helped our military families. I work on Michelle Obama's Military Family Initiative to recognize, to acknowledge, and to bring morale to our 6,000 National Guard families in Colorado. This lady has been there every step of the way. So I'm saying to you two things. It's about military. I don't know if any of you saw me testify or talk about the VA, but I said nothing in America has happened or will happen without the military. Not this meeting, not our legislative efforts, nothing will happen. We could be speaking a different language, using a different currency, or have a different regime if it were not for the military. There's one fine reason, one paramount reason. It's because of the singular efforts of a lady like Sue Ryden, Representative Ryden. And she needs to have a hand for that. along the way, there's a joke about the little old Jewish man that goes into St. Patrick's Cathedral and sits in the confessional box, and the priest comes in and says, "How can I help you, son?" He says, "Well, Father, I'm a Jewish man, and I want to tell you something." He said, "But if you're a Jewish man, why are you telling a Catholic priest?" He said, "Well, I'll tell you what happened. Yesterday I was with a 23-year-old woman." And he said, "Well, I can help you with that, but why are you telling it to a priest?" He says, "I'm telling everyone." We need to tell everyone. We need to tell the clerk, the postman, everyone who we come in contact with, the imperative, the critical imperative of not allowing our Democratic Arapahoe County Democrats to get split over for any reason whatsoever. So tell everybody, reach into your wallets. When you think you've given enough, give more. Those are the things that I'm asking you to do. I'm 85. I served in the Korean War. Marvin is 85. He served in 2 wars. And he is now fighting another war to finish our hospital, our VA hospital. He's battling that. He started it. He and Ed Perlmutter, he started it. Good Democrats. We need to keep our Democrats up front and in power. So with having said all that,
You've covered the 3 no-nos already, so I don't think there's anything left.
let's just be united. Let's get the party elected, and then we can pursue our own agenda, and we know what her agenda is. It's manyfold. So thank you all. I'm honored and privileged to be here today, and honored and privileged that she has allowed me to speak to you.
Thank you very much. You know, they always say there's 3 things you should never discuss in mixed company, and I think that would be religion, sex, and politics. So we've covered all those subjects, so I'd say go have at it with whatever you want to talk about now. Thank
But
you
you
so
wouldn't
much.
be here if it wasn't for politics.
Thanks, everybody. And there's our Arapahoe County Chair, Pat Shaver.